Welcome back, everybody. Now, you know what? This time of the year, my favorite time. You know why? It's grilling season. I love it. But you know what? I even wonder a lot of the times, should I be grilling with the top up? Should I be grilling with the top down? Should I spice it a certain way? Should I leave the meat on for a certain amount of time? Some of these things pop into my mind. Well, I've got two experts here that are going to answer all those questions and help you have one of the best grilling seasons ever. Please welcome Steve Chambers and Mr. Alan Moncrief from Aramark Services. Gentlemen, thank y'all both for being here. Absolutely. We appreciate it. See, let's just get right to the heart of the matter. You can't have a grill, you can't grill out unless you have some hot coals under there. What's the best way to start a fire?
Well, actually, there are charcoal chimneys that you basically load a little bit of newspaper in the bottom of, fill your charcoal in there, lighter fluid, light the newspaper. That's probably the most efficient way. If you don't happen to have one of those handy, you want to pyramid your charcoal before you put the lighter fluid on it and then light it up. The chimneys can be made pretty easily from like an old coffee can, honestly.
Now, you were talking about the lighter fluid and those kind of things. Does that sometimes put a taste to the food?
It can if you overuse it, and that's the problem. And a lot of people sometimes they'll see their fire going out and they'll decide they're going to spray a little more on there, light it back up.
Like me.
That's where you have the problem. Exactly.
See, I know what you mean. Now, let's get to another age-old question when it comes to grilling: gas versus charcoal.
Well, that's all about flavor or speed. Which one are you looking for?
Let's talk about flavor first.
Well, flavor, you're really getting your best flavor from charcoal. I mean, there are things you can do with the gas grill to put a little more flavor into it, adding moist wood chips down in the bottom, things like that. But really, that charcoal flavor that you're looking for in the summer, that's it right there.
See, that's what it's all about. What are the advantages of gas?
Speed, really.
Really?
I mean, I cook with gas at home and use the wood chips to flavor my meats and whatnot. But really, it's about being able to go out there and click it on and ready to roll within
and
5
ready
minutes.
to eat. That is the way to go. Now, another thing that I think people have a question about, some of our viewers might even be thinking, they've heard about direct grilling and indirect grilling. What's that all about?
Well, really, the distinction is grilling or barbecuing.
Okay.
Grilling is traditionally the direct method, and that's what we're doing here.
Right here, okay.
We've got direct heat, direct meat. That's
right on the
way you
grill.
do it.
I mean, it's
Now,
right there.
Traditional barbecue, on the other hand, you're building heat and smoke in one area of the grill, and then putting your meat in another area of the grill. That's like doing a traditional Memphis barbecue, smoking sort of situation. Right. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that grilling, like we do here, well, in the UK, for instance, it's broiling. They consider it broiling or barbecuing there.
Okay.
So it's all about nomenclature.
Now, flavor. It's all about flavor. Spices, rubs, those kind of things. What are some quick tips that you can give our viewers about doing that?
Well, you know, salt and pepper are the two greatest things in the world, so that's always a great place to start.
And it's easy to get, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Now, it depends upon what you're going to do with it. Me, if I'm cooking a steak, I'm probably just putting a little salt and pepper on it because I want to taste the meat. But if I'm doing a real barbecue, for instance, our half chickens, or sometimes we do ribs, I like putting a nice flavorful rub on it so that we get, generally it's got some sugar in it, it's got some chili powder in it, things like that. So we're going to get a nice caramelization on the outside of the meat, a nice crust that's going to be really flavorful.
Okay. And you know what? A lot of those same things, I mean, these meats and things are looking good right now, and I'm getting ready to bring Alan in here, all right, and talk a little bit about what's on the grill. So, Alan, come on in, and let's talk a little bit about what we've got on the grill today, because we're going to be sampling some of this, I think you know.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Right. What do we got?
This right here, we've got a dry rubbed half chicken.
Okay.
And these are full half chickens, so they're quite a bit. It's bone and white meat, dark and white.
Ooh.
Then we have an 8-ounce ribeye steak, which
Good
is a
stuff right here,
choice
folks.
cut. Yes, sir. And then we have Hebrew Nationals, all beef hot dogs, which a lot of times you see at the more kosher ballparks. And this right here is
No, you know the one thing about grilling out, folks, and I know you all do the same thing, that smoke gets in your eyes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No doubt.
That's why I always have a hard time out here. These are eye-round sirloins, and we have these on a kebabs with onions, peppers, mushrooms, sometimes cherry tomatoes. A lot of people like to use fruit.
I mean,
pineapple's always a good choice.
Is that what makes a good kebab? Just the variety of what you can put on there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to have a couple different flavors. You can't be afraid of the vegetables. It's always good to have big chunks of things, whether it's fruit or vegetables or any of that nature. But it's always to have a good kebab too, because they stay together really well when they're larger. And then you pack it on. Always gets a lot of flavor, and the onions and peppers will cook into it as well as the fruit.
Now, the chicken. you know, nice size chicken right there. Now, how long will it normally take the chicken to cook?
Well,
because that's a half chicken right there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What we usually do is we par cook these chickens, and that means we will bring them up to around 140, 160 degrees.
Right.
After we dry rub them in an oven, before we'll bring them out here, so that they don't have a long time to cook or burn very quickly. And a lot of times when you're using stuff that's on the bone and in the bone,
right,
you know, it will have a tendency to burn if you leave it on too long and don't par cook it ahead of time. That's what a lot of people do is, you know, they'll throw a T-bone steak on and it burns instantly and it's very tough. You know, steaks are better to do, especially when they're about an inch thick or a little less, but when it comes to chicken or anything like that, or ribs, you either want to sham or boil your ribs, or like the chickens, par cook them in an oven or something of that nature.
You know, like people like to have their steaks, especially different, I guess, modes of doneness.
Right.
You know, how long should you leave a steak on if you want it, like say medium rare? Well, whatever. We got about a minute here.
Medium rare steak is usually about 135. If you get any more done than that,
and that's 135 inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Inside the middle. If you temp that, it'll be 135 about mid rare, maybe 145 to medium, and then well done would be about 160.
Okay, fantastic. How those hot dogs looking?
Oh, they're great.
Pull one out of there for me. Let me take a look. Folks, I'm going to tell you what. We had Alan here with us today,
and
Steve with us today, and they plump when you cook them. They gave you wonderful tips for a fantastic grilling season. All you got to do is go out there and enjoy, experiment, because it's all about the food. We'll be back in just a little bit with more JJ on Atlanta. The Thanksgiving holidays. You know, it brings back memories of crisp fall days, visiting with families and friends, football games, and of course, the stress of trying to get that Thanksgiving Day meal together. Well, right here on JJ on Atlanta, we're going to give you some tips for an easy, hassle-free Thanksgiving Day dinner. Please welcome Chef Steve Chambers of Aramark Services. Steve.
Good to see you again, JJ.
How are you, my friend?
Doing well, doing well.
Listen, thank you first off for bringing this bounteous bounty here so we can share with our viewers, but we want to give them the 4-on-1 on how they can make it their Thanksgiving Day stress-free, how they can do it all. But first off, tell them a little bit about what you do with Aramark.
A little bit. Well, I'm the chef here at Techwood. We run Station Break for Turner Services, and we put together meals every day for everyone here on campus.
Yes, you do, and we are very appreciative. I'm very appreciative. You know I'm in there every day.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, let's get right to it. What are some of the common mistakes that people make when they are preparing the big meal?
Well, you know, the mistake that most people don't make is having too much food. You know, it's always good to have plenty of leftovers.
You got that right.
Having too little food, that's always a problem. So you got to know how many people you're trying to feed so that you can kind of know how much food you need to have to at least make sure everybody's getting a little something.
Well, how do we do that?
RSVP.
You're exactly right. Who's coming, mama? You bringing who? Okay, right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, you know, knowing about how much something's going to feed, like, for instance, our turkey here today, this is a 10 to 12 pound turkey. It's going to feed about 8 to 10 people.
Okay.
And you can say about 3/4 of a pound of bird per person.
Per person.
Yeah, that kind of takes into account for bones and whatnot like that. But it's about 3/4 of a pound per person is going to take care of most of the folks that you're going to have there.
Cool. Okay, and we can't wait to get to this point. It looks so good. Now, what are some of the staples? Because, you know, people get out there, they're starting to plan, they're starting to get everything together, but, you know, they get back to the house, oh, I forgot this. How do they plan for those staples? What should they have on hand?
Well, you know, I'm a good Southern boy, and what I brought today was a little sweet potato souffle. We got a green bean casserole and a cornbread dressing. Yes. And these are all very simple recipes. The the sweet potato souffle here is simply baked sweet potatoes, pureed with a little bit of marshmallow fluff. I've topped it off with a little bit of brown sugar, butter, and pecans. It's real simple. You can bang all this out. I did in about 2 hours. That's all it took me, and I could feed.
For everything?
For everything here.
Wow.
Yeah, and part of that's experience, knowing that first thing I need to do is fire the turkey, you know.
Right.
Then make the cornbread for the dressing, you know. It's procedure as far as that goes. But I could feed probably about 12 people with what I got right here, and it took me about 2 hours.
Well, let's get into each individual dish. Let's start up here.
Okay.
hey, of course, sweet potatoes,
Sweet
and all
potatoes.
those kind of things. But give us some of the ideas of the time and everything you took to make that individual dish.
Well, I'll tell you, I bake the sweet potatoes, which takes about an hour. Then you
Okay.
got to let them cool down. Once you cool them down, you whip them with a little bit of the marshmallow cream. You top it off with the brown sugar, the buttered pecans. You pop it in the oven for maybe 30, 40 minutes, and you're done.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay.
It's very simple. And, you know, moving on to the green bean casserole, that's probably got the most ingredients in it, but it's at the same time the most simple. You're looking at cream of mushroom soup. You're looking at some French cut green beans. I put some sliced mushrooms and water chestnuts in it. We toss all that together, put it in a pan, top it with some cheese, bake it off, and that takes about 30, 45 minutes. You know, your total time there on this is about an hour.
Wow.
And
okay,
it's done.
okay.
Okay. Then moving on to the cornbread dressing, you know, the biggest thing there is getting your cornbread ready because you got to
Right.
have cornbread.
Right.
Then some day-old bread. I saute up just a little bit of onion.
So you have to have day-old bread for the cornbread.
Day-old bread because you got to have that dry. You know, you got to have that dry, and that's going to keep your consistency the best in that dressing, really. Because, you know, it's got to be dry waiting for the gravy.
Sure.
You know, you got to have some gravy for that. You know what I'm saying?
You are my kind of boy. I'm telling you what, this is my man right here. You talk about gravy, you got to put gravy all over this right here.
Exactly.
And you get the gravy from here.
From the bird. And, you know, one of the things about the bird, a lot of people don't know the best way to cook a bird. People always ask me, you know, well, what's the best way to cook a turkey?
Right.
You know, it is an opinion thing in some respects, but one of the things I do is I'll cook it breast side down for the first hour that I cook it.
Okay.
All right. That gives the breast a chance to start cooking and seal all those juices in.
Okay.
Then you flip it over for the rest of the cook time, really. The pan that I put that in is lined with, you know, celery, carrots, onions, garlic, maybe a couple of lemon slices, which I'll also put some of that in the bird.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't stuff my birds because a lot of times you have a problem with it not cooking all the way. You want to talk about problems? Let's
Right.
talk about some things not cooking all the way and everybody at Thanksgiving dinner getting sick. You
See,
know
now
what I'm
that's,
saying?
and I was going to ask you about the sanitation, the sanitary aspect of dealing with a bird.
Well, you know, a lot of people think that you can just put that bird, you know, in the sink,
Right.
let it, you know, defrost with a little water going on it. No, that's not really the case. That's kind of dangerous. You want to put it in the fridge. Now, a bird like this, 10 to 12 pounds, it's going to take you about 2 days to defrost it in the fridge.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's a little preparation for you. You know, you got to think ahead a couple of days.
And Steve, and let me say this real quick. I know that we're talking about baking. A lot of people fry their birds. Please don't fry a frozen bird.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. The ice going down in the fat, you're looking at a gout of flame up into the air. Exactly. Exactly.
That ain't going to work, folks. Okay, Steve, you know, all of this put together is all well and good, and it's a very traditional meal. But give me an idea of an unusual Thanksgiving meal you've done.
We did turducken a couple of years ago.
Duck?
Turducken.
Turducken? What in the world is that?
Turducken. Let me make sure I got the sequence right. There's a turkey, a duck, and a chicken involved, and they're each stuffed into the other, but I can't remember which sequence it goes in. I think that it's the duck into the chicken into the turkey, a turducken. Now they fry that too, just like they do the Cajun fried
Right.
turkeys. You can bake it, you know, you can use different cook methods, but the turducken was the most unusual thing that I've seen for Thanksgiving dinner, aside from running down to the Chinese restaurant.
No doubt. Hey, listen, you know, folks, if you want to get these recipes, of course, you can go to our website at peachtreetv.com, and we will have these recipes on our website for sure. But I want to also ask you, you do some stuff for people in the food industry that might not have an idea, you know, an opportunity to go home for the holidays. You cook for them, don't you?
Absolutely. It's something I've been doing for about 12 years now, since I moved to the Atlanta area anyway. I was graced by by someone who started this initially. She was doing it for a lot of food service people that don't really have family to go home to or can't really get away for that long. And I took it over from her, and you know, sometimes it's 8 or 12 people. I served 60 to 70 one year, and I never really know until the last minute. So that's where I developed a lot of these quick fire recipes, because as long as I got the supplies around, I can bring, you know, more casserole to the table, I can bring more dressing to the table, whatever, and make sure everybody's having a good time.
And everybody is giving thanks and having a good time.
Exactly.
And right now, I want to give some thanks out to the folks at Classic Rentals for helping us to provide this wonderful plate, these settings and everything, and also to the great folks at Aramark and our good friends at Station Break. I'm telling you, folks, they take care of us all the time here on the Turner campus. Steve, thank you so much for being here with us.
Always a pleasure.
We truly
JJ.
appreciate it. And folks, we're going to be back in just a little bit, but now, here are some great holiday events going on right here in Atlanta. Stay tuned.